Hello, hello. This is Dallas Cohen, the Rebound Coach, and you're watching or listening to an episode of the Rebound Coach. Nope, the Rebound Coach Live. That's what it is. Got in my head, y'all, which is literally what we're going to talk about today. Have you ever felt just not good enough? I think we all have. I think we all have felt that way one time or another. Well, today we're going to talk about how to become good enough. And yes, I have finger quotation marks. How to become good enough. Because, y'all, this is going to be a really, really good one. So, if this is your first time hanging out with me, your first time hanging out over here with the Choose Life Nation, how do you like that? Thank you. Thank you for coming. I'm so glad that you're here today. Again, my name is Dallas Cohen, the Rebound Coach from thereboundcoach.com, and you are watching or listening to an episode of the Rebound Coach Live. How about that? I got it right this time. And if you've never shared space with me and you don't know what a rebound coach is and who I am, I'll share a little bit with you. I'm a life coach, and I help people get unstuck. Specifically, I serve high achieving women of faith who have been through betrayal, trauma, or abuse and would like to reclaim territory in their relationship with themselves. And that started with my own story, y'all. Here's the headline. You ready? I was married 10 years to a man who wanted me dead, and he almost got the chance to take my life. Now, that didn't make a lot of sense for someone like me. I was raised in a good, godly home. I had parents who loved God, loved each other, were married for a lifetime. They were a great example of marriage and family. At the same time, I was molested from the time I was 8 to the time I was 16. And that radically affects how you see yourself, how you relate to God in a household of faith, and how I related to men. So fast forward, when I met the man that I married and eventually divorced, there were definitely red flags. There were definitely reasons for us not to be together. There were definitely things that I was concerned about. At the same time, I am a praying woman and was at that time also, and believed that God's answer was yes. And because of that, I believe that whatever came, we would outlast it. We'd overcome it. God would swoop in and save the day. And he did swoop in and save the day, but not in the way I was expecting. He was a serial adulterer, and we got into this cycle of what I call coping and crisis. So this is where you're like, you're barely making it, and you're walking on eggshells, and you're trying not to erupt the volcano, and somehow the volcano erupts anyway, and you're in a crisis. And then you have to kind of pick up everything and put the house of cards back together again and will it and hope it and pray it won't fall again. But eventually it does. And so we were in that cycle for the large part of 9 years. And the biggest blow up, biggest crisis ever happened end of 2019, beginning of 2020. He left for another woman. And the next day I found out he and that woman had been plotting my murder. For months by the time I found out about it. Needless to say, it's kind of this record scratch moment, and you're threatened as a wife, as a mom, as a woman, as a child of God, and also as a coach. I had been coaching people in marriage and family, covenant marriage in the faith-based space for like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years by then. So if you can imagine building an identity around an idea, and that being the very thing that's crumbling at your feet, it was really scary. And I had to make big, important decisions. And I can tell you that through a series of divine events, I'm still here. We get to share this time together. I'm safe and alive. My children are safe and with me, bless God. And we get to live new lives together. And y'all, that was a lot. And so I wrote a book of all of that. And if any of my story resonates with any of yours, this is the book for you. I could allow the identity that my ex-husband had planned for me to tell me who I was, to tell me how I was allowed to worship God, to tell me how I was allowed to be a woman, to tell me how many days I had left on the planet. Or I could choose life. And so I wrote a book. It's back here. the name of the book is I Choose Life. Rewrite your love story and change your legacy. And it is my story, but it's not just my story. This is a roadmap for people who need to be free. This is reflection for after you've gotten out and you're just not sure what happened and how did I end up there? How did my life become this? This book is for you. If you care for someone who has experienced domestic violence, emotional abuse, spiritual abuse, financial abuse, narcissism in their lives, whether a spouse or any other human on the planet, this book is for them. This is a season for giving. This is a season where a lot of people are buying gifts for people they care about. I just want to recommend getting this book for someone you love, getting this book for your local domestic violence shelter, getting this book for your local church group, your church women's group. It doesn't have to be, I know this person directly. It could be, look, this book will help someone who needs it. Here, let's make sure it finds its way to the right place. So you can find this book at thereboundcoach.com/book. That is thereboundcoach.com/book. You can get one of these hard copies and I will sign it and I'll write you a love note. Or you can get one from Amazon and they'll ship it to you, or get an ebook and they'll ship that to you. Okay. But that's where you want to go, thereboundcoach.com/book. Let's put this back here so we can get talking today because we have a lot to talk about. All right, y'all. So you ever felt like you've just been on a treadmill? Like your life is on a treadmill, like you're running, sweating, heart's going, you're enduring, right? Or you might be on an incline and you're push, but you're not getting anywhere. Y'all, okay, this happens, I think, to everybody at least once, all right? Today, I found myself saying out loud in front of other people, found myself saying, you want your work to matter. You want your time to matter. And the reality, if I was honest with myself, I felt like my time and my work did not matter at that point, because I was in a situation where I was doing a lot of work, doing your very best, you're putting everything out there, and the only feedback I was getting was, this is not good enough. 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 And y'all, that's painful. That was painful and frustrating. And it just felt like, man, I am just on this treadmill and I don't know that it's going to get better, right? I'm pushing hard, I'm doing my best, but the expectations keep changing. If you've been in an abusive marriage, you know what this is like. This is the walk on eggshells. I'm trying not to blow up any landmines. I'm trying not to tick him off. I'm trying not to make him angry. I know he didn't want that before, so I'm not going to do it again. And then something changes. And suddenly what used to be wrong is now okay. What used to be okay is now wrong. That was a cycle in my marriage where I knew what the rules were, and then it got worse and worse and worse. Like it was, hey, you can't wear makeup, or hey, you can't do this thing, you can't do that thing. And the longer the marriage lasts, the more restrictions there were, until eventually I felt like there's a boa constrictor up here and I couldn't breathe. And it was very difficult. But maybe you've been in situations like that where the rules and the expectations that are on you keep changing. And you're like, I don't know how to succeed in a system that keeps changing. The rules of the game keep changing. How do I win? Right? So if the feedback you keep getting is it's not good enough, this is not good enough, that's not good enough, you eventually feel like, well, man, maybe I'm not good enough, right? Maybe I'm not good enough. And if you believe that you're not good enough, then there's nothing you can do. The it will never be, because you're not, right? And that curses the work of your hands, and it curses your expectation, and it fills your expectation with anxiety and depression and fear. and you end up in this place just feeling like, man, I'm just not good enough. It doesn't matter what I do. I'm just not going to win. I'm just not going to succeed. It's never going to get better. And when we feel like that, there's no will to do better. So we do mediocre things. And now I work with high achieving women. I work with high achieving women of faith. So for high achievers, you can be totally depressed and people won't know it because your standard is so much higher. So you're used to working at such a high level that's higher than most people that you know or most people that you're around. And your 50% is someone else's like 75, 80% of productivity, of work, of showing up. So you can still show up, have a smile, meet your obligations. You can still meet your obligations and be horribly burnt out, depressed, hopeless, feeling like you're not good enough and that it's never going to get better. This can totally happen to you. It totally happened to me. So, and I know exactly what you mean. But here's the lesson, guys. And I actually, okay, I want to show you guys a cool video I found that really illustrates this very well, but I'm thinking about when to do it. All right, so here's a lesson about running on the treadmill. And I've coached myself with this same thing that I'm sharing with you. Treadmills don't take you anywhere, right? But it's not intended to. It's not intended to get you to a destination. It is intended to condition you. So when we walk outside, when we walk, in our homes or wherever we're walking, we are walking to get to a destination. So it's the same movement that takes us to a destination. When we're on a treadmill, we're doing that same movement, but we're not getting anywhere. Right? So you might feel like, man, I am sweating. I am working. I'm using my brain. I'm doing all my things, working so hard and just not getting anywhere. Right? We're doing the same motions that take us places, but on the treadmill, it doesn't take you anywhere. But that's intentional. It's intentional because the purpose of the treadmill is to condition your heart, condition your body, condition you so that when you are moving in a way that gets you somewhere, you can get further, you can get faster, you can go longer, farther distances. It's conditioning you to get somewhere. It is not the vehicle to take you anywhere, right? But you can be in a relationship, you can be in a job, you can be in a faith expression that is just not getting you anywhere. And you might be like, man, this is the most frustrating thing ever. And I must not be good enough because I'm not getting where I'm hoping to get, right? But the reality is sometimes you might be in a situation where you're intended to be conditioned. It's not intended to take you somewhere. It's intended to grow your mind. It's intended to grow your perspective. It's intended to condition your heart. It is intended to grow your humility. Oh man, I don't need to be any more humble, but you might. So I'm with you. So that might be something that you may find yourself in a season of push, push, push. Man, I'm not getting anywhere, but look how strong my arms are. Push, push, push. Gosh, I'm not getting anywhere, but look how much I've grown in temperance, how much I've grown in patience. Look how much I've grown in learning to care for others. Look how much I've grown in self-control. Like those are skills that get you so much further than folks who are less matured in those areas. So someone who doesn't have self-control, how much can they actually do? Right? They're so busy feeding their want, right? But if you're growing in self-control, if you're growing in caring for other people, if you're growing in patience and shifting your perspective, which is such a needed skill, if you're going to survive anything, you must learn how to condition your mind. Intentionally, we condition our minds unintentionally all the time, but to condition your mind intentionally is a skill. It's a skill to learn, and you don't harvest season and sowing season and tilling season and protecting season are all different seasons. So they don't happen at the same time. Now you might have, if you're a farmer, you might have like several fields, and one of your fields is in harvest and one of your fields is in not harvest, right? so that might be happening, but the same field doesn't do the same thing at the same time. Doesn't do more than one thing at the same time. So if you are being conditioned, it's an okay thing, right? That's an okay thing. If you're in that season of like, man, my work is not getting me where I want to go, but it is growing me, it is teaching me, it is conditioning me for what's ahead. And I say that to myself just as loudly as I say it to you. Now, trials, even heavy frustrations, may not take you to your goal, but they condition you. So the question is, what area or areas would you like to grow toward? And I want to show you this this real clip, TikToky thing. Y'all, I don't know all the terms, okay? But I found something on Instagram of all places that really illustrated the choice we have. The choice we have and whether or not we decide we're good enough. Now, I know your secret's safe with me. I know your first response, shoot, I'm good enough. Just talking about, I'm good enough. I'm more than good enough. Like, okay, I heard you. Between me and you, deep down, we all have that question sometimes. So here's our choices. I want to show you this cool video, and I'm coming right back. And I wish I can get it bigger for you, but this is...
You're beautiful.
You are a really good friend.
You did a fantastic job.
I love how thoughtful you are.
You're so funny.
You were so reliable.
You have a really good head on your shoulders. You're really smart.
You make me
I
laugh.
couldn't have done it without you.
I love your idea.
I love your smile.
You have
You're
such
great.
kind eyes.
You're such a warm
amazing.
person.
You're so understanding.
Your hair.
I love how
You
you
handle
from
that
you.
like a
You
pro.
have the best ideas.
I look up
You're
to
so
you.
fun.
I
You
love
have
how
such
creative you
patience.
are.
You're not good enough.
That creator's name is Christina Kuzmic. Okay, so I just wanted you to know if you wanted to go find that and see it bigger. But it's so powerful because it's so true. We can get, and I know this for myself, I had experienced many kind-hearted people saying kind-hearted things. Dallas, you're so smart, you're beautiful, you're funny, you do great work, you're excellent, you're efficient, all the things, right? For years, right? But what did I hold to my heart? I held to my heart those areas, those situations where like, man, I'm not doing good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not doing it right. I'm not doing it right. I know I'm not doing this right. Man, I am not doing this right. Like that's what I held on to instead of all the beautiful things that were spoken to me. And it's sad, but it's very, very true. And we all have the choice on what we're going to hold on to, all right? What we're going to choose to believe in. And here's your question. You know, we talk about speaking life. We call ourselves the Choose Life Nation. And we have choices. Here's just 3 choices, all right? In our attitude, we can speak life or we can complain. Y'all, complaining is some powerful stuff. It gets addicting, and we tell ourselves all sorts of things to feel good about mediocrity, about not doing our best, about not showing up as the best, about not getting the results that we say we're after, because we complain. I know I have done it. I am personally right now committing to not complain about a particular the situation I was talking about earlier today, where, you know, I felt like, man, you want your work to matter. You want your time to matter. Instead of focusing on what I don't think is right I can focus on all the blessings in that entire situation. And there are many. So, and using your mouth has so much power. Your words have so much power. You have so much choice to create your experience with your words. And it's important to choose life in your words, choose life in the thought company that you keep, choose life in the people company that you keep, right? So your attitude is one. Are you going to speak life over yourself, over your situation? Are you going to complain? In your relationships, are you going to, now trauma happens, stuff happens. We have choices. We have choices. Ladies, we have choices. We can choose to learn, to grow, to build, or rebuild. Or we can choose to make our comfort zones even smaller, to make our trust even smaller, to make our accepting of new friends even smaller and new experiences. I'm just never going to have that experience again, right? This is where divorced women swear off men. And I get it. I get it. But we have a choice, ladies. We can choose to grow, to learn, to build, or rebuild. Or we can choose to make our comfort zone smaller and build bigger, thicker, tighter walls around us and our hearts. That is your decision to make and your decision to make alone. But I invite you, I encourage you to choose life. The third area is self-worth. Self-worth. What makes you good enough? What makes you good enough? What makes you good enough? Now check it. I know the religious answer to this question. The religious answer to this question is, well, God makes me good enough. He said in the Bible all these great things. Yes, yes. But I want you to answer with your heart, not with your memory, right? Not with your intellectual, this is the right answer. I'm raising two fantastic children, and I am constantly reminded of these lessons like this in raising them. And so I have a child that is preparing for her bat mitzvah. It's a coming of age ceremony in the Hebrew faith. And part of it is asking big questions and thinking big thoughts and starting to think bigger than a child, right? So I was asking some of those big questions, and she was doing her best to give me whatever she thought the right answer was, instead of thinking it through and forming her own opinion, right? Which is something we do so instinctually. We so instinctually reach for whatever we think the right answer is so we can provide the right answer and show how smart we are, how accomplished we are, how wise we are, how much we have it all together, all those things. But that wasn't the ask. There is no right answer in big questions, right? There's no right answer. There's only, this is what you feel today, this is what you feel the next day, right? So I coached her in that. And it's such a reminder for me, Dallas, are you trying to just provide the right answer? Or are you really allowing this question to grow your mindset? And I invite all of you, with whatever trial you might be dealing with, whatever situation this conversation has brought up for you, ask yourself that question. Are you trying to just have the right answer and do the right thing to show how smart, accomplished, I said that already, witty you are, how together you already have it? Or are you allowing the circumstance to help you grow and stretch and become something better than you were? I'm going to say it again because I needed it. I needed it a third time. In the trial that you're facing, in the situation that frustrates you, in the situation that makes you feel not good enough, are you trying to have the right answer and do the right thing and do things perfectly to show all the onlookers how smart and put together you are? Or are you allowing the situation, the people, the frustrations to help you grow? Use it as a place to grow. Use it as a place to learn a new perspective. Use it as a place to learn a new dance. If you danced a certain way all this time and this feels different and uncomfortable, instead of saying, well, shoot, I don't like this, I don't like these people, I'm out of here. Learn what it takes to win in that new place. Learn what it takes to do well in a situation that doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel like the other places you've done well in. That's good. It's good. It's providing you a place to grow. Now, speaking of places to grow, I have an invitation for you. In 2 weeks, I will be doing a special free masterclass. And the masterclass is called From Trauma to Triumph. Because this is the time, ladies and gentlemen, this is the time. So many of us, there's situations that are frustrating. There's situations that are dangerous and scary. There's big situations around the world. There's lots happening right now. Lots happening. And you might be in a place like, man, this does not feel good. But we're invited. We're invited to grow. We're invited to condition our minds, our hearts, our spirits. We're invited to be ready for what's next. And so I want to invite you to that. It is December 13th, so 2 Wednesdays from now at 9:30 p.m., our normal time, but we will not be here on Facebook. We will be on Zoom, and you will need to register to be a part of it. So in the comments of this video, I will put how you can register for that free masterclass From Trauma to Triumph. And I would love to see you there. I'd love to see your face, even though we're on a screen. I'd love to see your face. I'd love to hear your voice. I'd love to know, even in the comments, you can let me know what about this episode touched your heart, what ministered to you, what was like, man, I'm really going to do it. Tell me the area that you've been frustrated and how you're going to use that to grow instead. Because you are good enough. You already are. It's your choice to believe it. All right. So thank you so much for spending time with me today. Let me know in the comments what blessed you out of this. Please share with a friend. Share with someone who would also be blessed, who wants to know how good enough they are. And until next time, folks, choose life.